Why has the Election Commission decided to update the electoral rolls of Bihar specifically? Is there some specific reason where it has also the constitutional provisions required for it, or it just seems like, as the other politicians are criticizing, that it is the backdoor NRC? What seems sudden and out of the box, the Election Commission's exercise of SIR in Bihar is not so out of the box. It has proper provisions and it has been done since elections have been conducted in our democracy. Hello everyone, welcome to Vajiram and Ravi's Flash News. My name is Shubhangi Singh. Today we are going to talk about the special intensive revision that we are seeing in Bihar. What are the reasons behind it, the constitutional provisions related to it, and also understand that why it is being carried out, especially after almost 23 years in Bihar, and what are the reasons behind it. So as to that, we are clear that is it a backdoor NRC that the government is trying to push, or it is just a regular exercise. So let us begin with understanding the constitutional provisions that are present in terms of SIR. When I say SIR, I am referring to the special intensive revision, the exercise that is going to take place in Bihar. Now, जब हम इस एक्सरसाइज की बात करते हैं, सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट आर्टिकल जो ये है हमारे सामने, दैट इज आर्टिकल 324(1) and it is the one which empowers Election Commission to supervise and control on the electoral roll preparation. Now, this whole exercise, if we talk about it, it is related to electoral roll preparation itself. But when we are talking about SIR, it is related to updation and cleansing. Now, why do we need updation and cleansing? Because the population is increasing, people are migrating, we'll get into that. But the responsibility of this is with Election Commission. They will supervise and they will control. And there are two other provisions when we talk about RP Act of 1950. These has two sections, section 21 and then we have section 19 and 20. Now, section 21 is the one which allows Election Commission to carry out special revisions whenever it is necessary, whenever it is required, or the time or the situation is calling for it. EC gets to decide and carry out such special revisions. And then there is a provision of section 19 and 20 which defines the eligibility. This eligibility is given that any citizen who is 18 plus and is an ordinarily resident, then he should be added to this list, and this is the defined eligibility in front of us. Now, when we talk about section 21, this is something we need to understand and note. The special revisions are allowed, but what is the nature of revision? That will be decided by EC. For what are the examples? For example, if it needs to be intensive, that EC can do. If it needs to be in a summary form, that EC can decide. If EC wants to go for the combination of both, that is also something that the EC will decide based on the manpower, based on the timeline, based on the situation circumstances. So, यहाँ पे जो हमारे सामने प्रोविजन है वो ये दिखा रहे हैं कि इलेक्टोरल रोल का जो प्रेपरेशन है, अपडेशन है, और साथ ही साथ यहाँ जो स्पेशल रिविजन्स की जरूरत जब पड़ेगी वो किसके पास है? वो इलेक्शन कमीशन के पास है. और बिहार में जो हमें ये अनाउंसमेंट देखने को मिला और ये जो एक्सरसाइज होने वाली है, हो रही है, रादर इट विल बी कंक्लूडेड, इट इज सेड दैट इट विल बी कंक्लूडेड इन 31 डेज. तो यहाँ पे ये एक्सरसाइज जो है डेफिनेटली विद इन द ज्यूरिसडिक्शन ऑफ पावर जो इलेक्शन कमीशन को दी गई है, अभी तक ऐसा लग रहा है कि हाँ उसी के विद इन हो रही है. नाउ लेट अस मूव एंड अंडरस्टैंड कि अभी एग्जैक्ट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम पे ये एक्सरसाइज जो है क्यों कंडक्ट करवाई गई है, स्पेशली इफ वी टॉक अबाउट 23 इयर्स. लास्ट एक्सरसाइज जो हमने स्पेशल रिविजन की देखी थी वो 2003-4 में देखी थी, एंड दिस वाज द 13th exercise such special revision. So the one which is conducted now, this will be the 14th special revision since 1952. Now, what was the need that all of a sudden in 2025 Election Commission decided that we need a special revision? So, multiple reasons, because the updation and cleansing is required of the electoral roll, and in last 2 decades we have seen rapid urbanization, which has also led to a lot of migration and population mobility. There is a possibility that there might be duplicate entries in the electoral roll. साथ ही साथ यहाँ पे inaccurate voter data भी present हो सकता है, एंड यहाँ पे ऐसे कई इनएलिजिबल इंडिविजुअल्स जो हैं वो प्रेजेंट होंगे, और साथ ही साथ ऐसे कई एलिजिबल इंडिविजुअल्स होंगे जिनको ऐड करना यहाँ पर जरूरी माना जा रहा है। तो इन सब चीज को कैरी आउट करने के लिए यहाँ पे ये जो एक्सरसाइज है इस वक्त कंडक्ट की जा रही है, और यहाँ पे इलेक्शन कमीशन का सीधा साधा ऑब्जेक्टिव है कि यहाँ पे क्लेंस किया जाएगा, अपडेट किया जाएगा इलेक्टोरल रोल को। सिर्फ एलिजिबल सिटीजन्स जो हैं वो इस लिस्ट में रहेंगे। किसी भी तरह की डुप्लीकेशन जो है अक्रॉस कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसीज बिकॉज ऑफ माइग्रेशन या फिर इनएक्यूरेसी की वजह से जो डुप्लीकेशन है उसको हटा दिया जाएगा। और वोटर डेटा जो है स्पेशली आने वाले इलेक्शंस के लिए, फ्यूचर इलेक्शन, अगले साल हम 5 इलेक्शंस देखने वाले हैं, और उसके बाद 2029 में वी आर गोइंग टू सी लोकसभा इलेक्शंस अगेन। सो व्हेन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट फ्यूचर इलेक्शंस, voter data is the fuel, is the reality of this election, and the accuracy with it becomes very important. So EC is coming out very clean on this. What is the objective? It is very simple. The jurisdiction, they have the provisions in their hand, and they are going to do this as a nationwide exercise. The only reason they have started with Bihar because the elections in Bihar are coming up this very year. So the reasons are very simple here and everything seems in place. As I mentioned, the reason they have started with Bihar, the Bihar Legislative Assembly elections are scheduled for November 2025, and the special intensive revision, it is almost being conducted after 23 years. Last it was seen in 2003. Now let us understand a little more about Bihar's voter base before we move into understanding the process of SIR which will be followed. Now when we talk about Bihar's voter base, it is somewhat around 8 crore, 7.9 crore is the number, right? Out of which 4.9 CR, these people appeared in the electoral roll of 2003. Now the rest 3 crores are the addition that we have seen after last special revision that has taken place. Now the main objective of this special intensive revision is for the documentation of the additional 3 CR which have entered the electoral rolls, especially after 2003. The process has been simply defined because there will be 2 bases who would be registered. There will be people who have been registered before January 2003. अगर यहाँ पे रजिस्ट्रेशन जनवरी 2003 से पहले हुआ है तो किसी भी तरीके की डॉक्यूमेंटेशन जो है नीडेड नहीं है, सिर्फ वेरिफिकेशन जो है रिक्वायर्ड है, और ये 2003 के रोल्स के हिसाब से हो जाएगा. But if you are not present in 2003 rolls, then you have to submit valid documents for the same. There are also exemptions. For example, if your parents' details are found in the 2003 rolls, then you do not need to give the documents, and you need valid documents such as date and place of birth. So such valid 11 documents have been highlighted by the government. There are 2 ways this will be done. They will be given enumeration form. आपको enumeration form मिलेगा आप जब इस लिस्ट में हैं, और यहाँ पे उस enumeration form को सबमिट करना है बूथ लेवल ऑफिसर के पास. ऑफ कोर्स इसको हम इंटरनेट की मदद से भी कर सकते हैं, जहां पर हम इलेक्शन कमीशन की साइट पे अगर हम बात करें इजी नेट तो वहां पे जाके ये प्रोसेस हो सकता है. बट यहाँ पे जो डोर टू डोर वेरिफिकेशन की हम बात कर रहे हैं, दैट इज बीइंग अवॉइडेड. रादर यहाँ पर डोर टू डोर वेरिफिकेशन में जो ऑफिसर्स हैं आपको फॉर्म देंगे, और फॉर्म कलेक्ट करने वाला जो प्रोसेस है वो यहाँ पे आपको मिसिंग दिखेगा, बिकॉज एन्यूमरेशन फॉर्म जो है वो सारे रजिस्टर्स को सबमिट करना है कहाँ पे, BLO, दैट इज बूथ लेवल ऑफिसर के पास सबमिट करना है. और कैटेगराइजेशन क्या रहेगी इस प्रोसेस में वो भी क्लैरिफाई कर दिया गया है. एंड सिमिलर प्रोसेस जो है हमें आने वाले बाकी स्टेट्स में जो है वहां पर भी देखने को मिलेगा. I hope we are clear with the process here, that what is the process that will be followed. So the process, there is only difference in this process that we are seeing, that door to door verification जैसा हमने 2003 में देखा था वैसा नहीं मिलेगा. यहाँ पे voluntary form submission करना पड़ेगा, and a big manpower is being dedicated to this, where we are seeing 1 lakh plus BLO officers, we are seeing 1.5 lakh booth level agents, and this will be completed in a very tight timeline, that is 31 days. Now, the qualifying date for this has been, all the eligibility criteria will be checked as per July 1, 2025 for age, and that will be it. Now, this process has been kept easy, voluntary and simple. As I have clarified, 4.9 crore on other side, if they have been registered from 2003, they just need to prove that they were present in the electoral rolls. The rest 3 CR, they are the ones who would be in the radar, who would need to submit their forms, enumeration forms, and also prove that, right? So, this exercise is expected to be carried out pan-India in the coming months once it is done for Bihar as well. But this exercise has also raised a lot of concerns. When I was talking about 11 documents which government has mentioned which can be used for the verification, the problem is that the most prominent document which has been branded by the government also is not included, that is Aadhaar. So, if we talk about Aadhaar card, that is not accepted, and it is said that it is not a valid proof of citizenship or date of birth as per Election Commission, and Aadhaar is the de facto ID for many, especially underprivileged. So, underprivileged or marginalized community, the only identity that they hold, the identity card that they hold is Aadhaar card, because it facilitates many of the benefits that they can get from the government, and given their background, it is difficult for them to have documents like PAN card, passport, etc. So, this is a big concern, challenge that is front of us. Now, there is a conflict between EC guidelines and Form 6, which is under the Registration of Electoral Rules 1960. Now, all this is leading to a lot of fire, especially from the general public which is coming out, and that is why it is also being, there are criticism coming from politicians and especially from the opposition, that it seems like it is a backdoor NRC where the citizenship is under the scrutiny and we are moving towards NRC in the name of SIR. Another big challenge that comes is the logistical challenges. When we are talking about 3 crore voters which actually need to be verified, they have to give additional documents. And these are the people who are migrants, students, and such people may miss the deadline itself, or they may not have the documents which are required. So, such concerns, challenges need to be addressed. Other than that, we are also finding the problem that migrant workers will face exclusion. If we are talking about the RP Act, which gave us section 20, 19 and 21, it says that temporarily absent, if a person is temporarily absent, he will still be considered ordinarily resident, right? But the current process that is being followed, they are delisting migrants. For a person who has left their constituency and gone somewhere, they will delist it from voter rolls. For this, EC is again under question that why this is being done. It is going against the essence of RP Act. Other than that, EC is also under the gun for the fact that EC had promised that there will be option of remote voting soon. This promise was done 2 years back, but there has been no implementation. That means even if the migrant workers, if they are part of the list and they want to remote vote, then that provision is not being given by the EC. So, there are certain challenges that remain in front of EC to address. I hope you are clear with the process. What do you think? That does it seem like it is a NRC process that is being carried out in a different name? And also my question that what should be done? What should be the way ahead for such exercises that the challenges could be well addressed and it is a meaningful exercise that actually gives the output that is required. Now, that was all from my side. Thank you so much for joining in.